Over the years, as hip-hop has grown, we've seen many huge, iconic, and influential groups emerge from the genre. But if there's one thing that transcends every genre, it's that the band tends to break up, and everyone usually ends up going their own direction. So today we are going to be looking into 3 iconic rap groups and seeing where their members are at today. Starting off with NWA. Real quick, I want to say there are plenty of iconic rap groups, and in those groups there are plenty of iconic members. So that's why for this video I only picked 3, because if I tried to do a ton, like, we'd be here for hours, and I'm really not trying to make a video that long. Been there, done that. So I know there are plenty of other groups to talk about, so if you guys like this video, if I get like enough likes and you guys want another one, let me know in the comments down below. And I also picked groups that 1, I like, and 2, have interesting stories so that this video would be entertaining. I didn't feel obligated to pick like a certain top 3. These aren't the top 3 iconic rap groups. These are just 3 that I like, and it's my video, so I can do what I want. So let's get into the video. NWA is one of the most important groups in not just rap history, but music history in general. They also helped to spark and popularize the gangsta rap style of music. NWA is responsible for hits like F the Police, Straight Outta Compton, and many more. But despite how great NWA was, nothing good lasts forever. It all started when Eazy-E and Ice Cube started rapping while Dr. Dre had been producing. At the time, they didn't know each other, but they both had connections to Dr. Dre. Also at this time, Ice Cube was in a group called CIA, which is ironic for reasons I'm going to mention later. So Eazy-E got connected to Dr. Dre because he really wanted to start making music and get off the street. So together they created the group NWA, or Guys with Attitude. They also added Arabian Prince to the group around this time. Meanwhile, Cube was making music with CIA, him and Dr. Dre got connected, and Dre wanted him to join NWA. Then Dre brought on DJ Yella since they were both members of World Class Wrecking Crew, and eventually MC Ren joined. So by 1987, the roster had been assembled. Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, Arabian Prince, DJ Yella, and MC Ren. They started making music and releasing some tracks together, but it wasn't until 1988 when they released their debut studio album, Straight Outta Compton. This album is classic, iconic, any other big awesome word you can think of to describe it. If you don't think you've heard it, you have. It's one of the best-selling rap albums probably ever. I made that up, but it sounds right. The tracks I mentioned earlier were major hits. The album was certified platinum, and the title track was even named in Rolling Stone's greatest tracks of all time. Not only that, but they were pivotal in popularizing a more aggressive and honest style of gangster rap, similar to groups like Public Enemy. And there was an insane incident that helped them get even more popular. What happened was the FBI caught wind of the viral song F the Police, so they sent a letter to NWA's record label saying that the song was misrepresenting the police. They said, a song recorded by the rap group NWA on their album entitled Straight Outta Compton encourages violence against and disrespect for the law enforcement officer. Although NWA was pretty open on their perspective of what the song meant.
5 white guys walking together are friends. 5 black guys walking together is a gang. In the police eyes. You know what I'm saying? And they have you like this and head down and you be on the concrete.
And to be fair, Jerry Heller, who was NWA's manager, said the letter was written by Milt Ulrich and that he was just pretending to represent the organization. Regardless, this record was extremely controversial, so much so that it was banned on literally every single radio station and MTV. And when I say literally, I mean literally. There was only one radio station in the world that played F the Police, and it was in Australia. They played it for about 6 months until they were told to stop.
MTV banned our Straight Outta Compton video, and that blew the group up because people wanted to know why did they do something that even MTV was scared to show. And so we went from thinking we were going to be in that little bin to they putting us in the front of the record store and promoting that.
Despite that, it actually helped them become more popular, and they still sold millions of records. That same year, Eazy-E released his debut album Eazy Does It, which charted and went 2 times platinum. However, the success was short-lived as the group very quickly had a falling out. Well, it wasn't quite a falling out, but you'll see what I mean. Ice Cube decided to leave in December of 1989 because of some financial disagreements, since he wrote most of the lyrics on Straight Outta Compton and wasn't getting properly compensated. Arabian Prince had also left, before Cube actually, but people tend to forget that. He also cited the same reason for leaving. There was also some other reasons Cube left. For example, he was going to college because he didn't think a rap career would work out, which is really funny. He was still rapping though, and actually released his debut album America's Most Wanted, which did very well commercially. Unfortunately though, some beef broke out between him and his old group mates after they dissed him, which led to one of the most notorious beefs in hip-hop. They dissed him a few times and may have been upset at his solo success, and eventually Cube dissed them back and later released the classic track No Vaseline from his 1991 album Death Certificate. I'm not going to go too much into detail on this beef because there's a ton to it, and my main focus is on where these guys are at now, so feel free to check out one of the many other YouTube videos on it. Regardless, many people thought Cube had the better track with No Vaseline. Even the rest of NWA thought it.
Cool. You know, that's the thing about it. Nobody really got mad. It's just like, okay, he got us on that one. That's all, you know, I even told Cube this a couple of months ago. I said, you got us.
Right.
You know, that's it. You know, we didn't like, oh man, nah.
In 1991, just 3 years after their breakout album, Dr. Dre left NWA to create Death Row Records, alongside Suge Knight, the DOC, and Dick Griffey. Apparently, he left NWA due to a bad contract as well. Rumor has it, Eazy-E was really tight with Jerry Heller, NWA's manager, because they founded Ruthless Records together. So other NWA members claim that Eazy-E got special treatment contract-wise. He was also even threatened by Suge Knight to get Dre's contract released. This started yet another big beef between Death Row Records and Eazy-E. Throughout all of these beefs, there were various diss tracks, fights, lawsuits, and a whole lot more. It was pretty intense for quite a while. It was during this beef/diss battle that Dre released his first album, The Chronic, in which of course there were some Eazy-E disses. Apparently though, Eazy claimed he was still making money from Dre's contract.
So when Dre tried to make his deal over at Interscope, you know, I was included for the next 6 years, so you can say all you want to say. Basically, you could diss me all you want, but I'm gonna get paid. Because that's why I say Dre Day is only Eazy's payday.
Regardless, the group was split, and it seemed like everyone was mad at Eazy-E. Even MC Ren, a close friend of Eazy, basically said he was a jerk. However, after some time had passed and Eazy-E was diagnosed with AIDS in February of 1995, it seemed like the gang wanted to smooth things out. And thankfully, they smoothed things out just in time because just a month later, Eazy-E sadly passed away. After Eazy passed, it seemed like everyone went their own way. It was already sort of happening like I was talking about, but Eazy's death really seemed to prevent them from dropping more music together, other than a few reunions here and there. So let's start off with Dr. Dre. After the disbanding of NWA, Dr. Dre went crazy. Like I said, he released The Chronic, which was extremely successful. He produced Snoop's debut album Doggy Style, which debuted at #1. Then his label Death Row Records signed Pac. I mean, you guys know Tupac, that's a pretty big signing. And Dre was on California Love, which was one of his biggest songs. A couple years later, Dr. Dre started Aftermath Entertainment. Shortly after starting this label, he signed Eminem. That's like two of the biggest rappers ever. This man was on a roll. And of course, Dre and Eminem are an iconic duo and have seen tons of success together. Shortly after signing M, they signed 50 Cent, which was another super successful signee. Dre executive produced Get Rich or Die Trying. And this whole time, he was still making his own music, which was wildly successful. He launched Beats by Dre in 2008, which for a long time was killing it, and they were the headphones to buy. I remember I was like 10 years old and I was begging my mom to buy me some Beats. In May of 2014, Apple bought Beats for $3.4 billion. So after signing 3 superstars, working on tons of insanely successful songs, and creating an amazing company, Dr. Dre became the like 3rd richest rapper / producer ever. And it wasn't just Dre who saw crazy success, because Ice Cube did too. Like I said, Cube released some very successful music during the NWA era, but during this era he also started acting. He started out with his role as Doughboy in the movie Boys in the Hood in 1991. Over the years he starred in things like Friday, Barbershop, which is hilarious, Are We There Yet?, 21 Jump Street, Ride Along, and every sequel that these movies had as well. Ice Cube has almost 100 credits on IMDb. In 2015, Ice Cube and Dre produced the Straight Outta Compton film, a documentary about the group. The next year, NWA was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, to which he gave a speech. Ice Cube has done a ton of things both music-wise and acting-wise since his time in NWA, and he's become a household name because of it. So yeah, Cube and Dre have had some amazing careers. As for the rest of the group, it's hard to live up to what Cube and Dre did, and and honestly it's unfair to compare. But they've also had some great accomplishments. MC Ren's first solo release after NWA, called Kiss My Black Ass, went 2 times platinum. In '93 he released his project Shock of the Hour, which debuted at #1 on the R&B charts and sold over 320k copies first month. After the passing of Eazy-E, Ren didn't see as much success as he had before, but he has been relevant ever since the NWA days because of how relevant the group has remained. DJ Yella had helped produce for a ton of people during the NWA era, like on Eazy-E's Easy Does It. After NWA split, Yella produced at Ruthless Records. He also released his own debut album in '96 as a tribute to Eazy, and the album peaked at 82 on the Billboard 200. What's most interesting though is that after this he decided to retire from music. And can you guess which career path he chose next? It was porn, adult films, XXX. DJ Yella started directing and making porn and had a 12-year career in the industry. Apparently, he directed over 300 films. He said, "Women was my thing. It wasn't drugs, it wasn't alcohol, it was women. I love women." He even had Ren do a single for one of the porn films called Bangin' in LA.
Yeah, I have one called Bangin' in LA. Yep, a double had a movie and a CD in it. Double disc. That was like unheard of in that business.
Eventually, though, he quit the porn industry.
And what happened with that? When did you stop doing it, or?
Yeah, it just got old. It just got 12 years. I'll say, okay, that's enough. It's done. A couple of years ago, I was just like, that's over. That's done.
He went back to DJing, saying, "That's my passion. I've been to Paris, Australia, Canada. That's my thing now." He also said that he went homeless from 2010 to 2012 and then found God. Now Yella is married and seems to be doing well for himself. As for Arabian Prince, because he left so early, he's been left out of a lot of stuff. He wasn't mentioned in the documentary and was also left out of the Hall of Fame induction of NWA.
Like 50% of the scenes in real life, I was there. Like when they did the skating rink for the first time, that was me there. I don't think DLC wasn't there that early. He hadn't even come out from Texas yet when we were doing all that early.
He has released a lot of solo music since NWA, but hasn't seen success like the others have. He has been touring as a DJ though and launched his own video effects company, and apparently he's even doing an animated series with Ice-T, but I'm not sure if that ever ended up happening. Regardless though, it seems like most members of NWA ended up getting a happy ending, which is well deserved as they are one of the most iconic rap groups of all time. Ice Cube was also in 21 Jump Street, which is one of my favorite comedy movies. If you guys remember correctly, they were trying to do a drug bust in that movie, but you can't get busted if you're taking 5 CBDs, high potency gummies. Right now, 5 is giving away a $50 jar for free with my link below. This is a steal, a $50 jar, and all you gotta do is pay shipping. My favorite part about 5 gummies is that they are vegan, made with natural ingredients, and they taste great. For you health conscious folks out there, these gummies are made with US grown hemp and are third-party tested. That way you know you're getting the good stuff. On top of that, they're shipped straight to your door, so that way you don't even have to leave the house. The packaging is clean and discreet, so no one's gotta know what you're taking, and it's no wonder 5 has sold millions of jars. Unfortunately for you youngins though, you gotta be at least 21 years old to order these, but if you are 21 years old or older, make sure to click that link below in my pinned comment or description to get yourself a free $50 jar. There's no catch or subscription or any of that nonsense. All you gotta do is pay the shipping. And you can trust me, these are great. I've enjoyed these. Now let's get back to the video. So while NWA saw a lot of commercial success and most of its members had happy endings, it didn't go as well for D12. Okay, now I don't know if D12 counts as iconic, but I've always loved their music, and they did have a handful of hits, and if you've watched my videos for a while now, you probably know I'm a pretty big fan of theirs. And despite both of their albums being so successful, D12 fell apart pretty quick. What happened was D12 got started in 1995 by Proof, who invited other Detroit local rappers like Bizarre, Con Artist, Kaniva, and Bugs. Another interesting thing is that Proof and Eminem were actually good friends since high school. I mean, Proof was even Eminem's best man at his wedding.
So then Proof said, "What up, M? Yo." So I said, "Proof, won't you come in?"
Yeah. Come in, what time for that? Tango and Cash, Kane and Mango and Blast. Together, tougher than Alcatraz.
And that's why on D12's first EP, The Underground, Eminem had a feature. They had some local buzz with Proof even winning a freestyle competition that The Source did, and sadly just a few years after they began growing in Detroit, Bugs was shot and killed. One of the last things he said before he died was that he wanted a rapper named Swifty McVay to join the group, so the rest honored his wishes and recruited Swifty. Eminem also volunteered to join in place of Bugs, and that's how the main lineup of D12 was born. D12 came with their first album, Devil's Devil's Night in 2001. And at this time, they were known for their crazy lyrics. Think like Eminem, Slim Shady crazy, but even worse. One fan said, Devil's Night remains one of the most rebellious hip-hop albums of all time. Revelation was something else. D12 forever. This album was super successful commercially. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 and sold 372,000 units in its first week. It had hit songs like Purple Pills and Fight Music. And a few years later, they released the album D12 World, which did even better. Again, it debuted at #1 and sold a whopping 544,000 units first week. This album had the hit song My Band, which played on the fact that Eminem was by far the most popular person in the group. So they joked about being in the back all the time while M was in the front, M taking credit for their lyrics, and they called him the lead singer. And although this was jokes at the time, it kind of ended up being true. And that's because after this album, D12 had some struggles. In 2005, both Proof and Bizarre released their first studio albums, Searching for Jerry Garcia and Handicap Circus. Both of them debuted on the charts. But just a year later, Proof was sadly shot and killed. And just like that, D12 was sort of in limbo. M left the group as he was likely dealing with the loss of his close friend. So while Eminem was MIA, they released a mixtape in 2008. And then another in 2011, and they performed a couple times as well, but none of these projects did numbers. Then in 2012, Bizarre and Con Artist left. In 2014, there were some rumors of the group's return, and eventually they put out a third mixtape, but for the most part, the group was done. I really don't think I need to talk about where Eminem's at today. Pretty much everyone knows that, as he went on to become the best-selling rapper of all time. But he did do something interesting on his 2018 album Kamikaze when he officially ended D12. On the song Stepping Stone, he talked about his relationship with D12. On the first verse, M said, "Thought we was running shit till we lost the sole of our shoe. The death of duty broke us in two, we were thrown for a loop. Ain't none of us know what to do." By the way, Duty was Eminem's nickname for Proof. He then said, "Everyone tried to go solo, really nobody blew. I was hoping they do so I ain't have to shoulder the crew. The plan was to put everyone in position so that they knew how to stand on their own. And I don't want to open up wounds. I just noticed that the oomph was gone when we go in the booth. Because the truth is, the moment that Proof died, so did the group." On the second verse, he said, "But it's almost as if sometimes we're not friends." Which reminded me, Biz, Rockstar was the shit. You could have got a hit without me on this shit. Rockstar was Bizarre's lead single for Handicap Circus, which was produced by Eminem. Then M said, "I know it wasn't my fault, but part of it probably is. I think of all the trips to BET and the rappers I wish that we would have politicked with. Maybe y'all could have clicked and got you some features, but that's water under the bridge." And finally on the third verse, he said, "Is this the kind of karma you get for turning your fucking back on Busy, Kaniva, and Swift?" People like to point out how he didn't mention Con Artist, who now goes by Mr. Porter, and that's because Con had continued working with M throughout his career. M continued, "I ain't feel so much guilt and y'all didn't harbor resentment, but it's hard to pretend that y'all ain't got none. To my partners, I can't say how sorry I am. This is not how I planned for our story to end. I love all of you men, but I just can't be the guy everybody depends on for entire careers, because that's not even fair. The less is left for closure, so let's let this go. It's not goodbye to our friendship, but D12 is over." Eminem also elaborated on this song in an interview with Sway.
The way I explain it is this. Proof was the glue that binded us all together, right? He did so much shit behind the scenes that I didn't even realize, and did things to keep us a group and to motivate us.
And you know, y'all was drifting further apart.
Well, that's what ended up happening, was everybody was kind of doing their solo things, made solo projects, mixtapes and things like that, and we're doing shows. And I think the conversation now going forward is to see if there's anything we can do to help their solo careers. You know, and we'll always be friends, man. We always been friends. So we were kids, you know what I'm saying? So we'll always be good on that aspect, you know. And I want to help them do whatever it is that their next thing is on the agenda. You know what I'm saying?
So it's really sad to see how such a promising group of talent ended up. Proof's death was very tragic, and it really seemed he was the glue holding the group together. And it's sad that the other members had to watch M reach superstardom while they were left behind, despite their talent. So fans can only hope for a reunion album someday, although Eminem did say in 2018 that it wasn't likely. But what did the other guys do while D12 was in that weird sort of limbo? Really, no one in D12 went on to see much success, at least compared to what they did when they were together. After releasing his first album Handicap Circus, Bizarre put out a few more studio albums over the years with features from artists like Royce da 5'9", Tech 9, and some of the guys in D12. Bizarre did a lot of stuff with fellow Detroit artists, so he was still buzzing locally. Nothing really crazy happened until just recently when he had a surprise feature on Eminem's song Antichrist. Con artist, also known as Mr. Porter, like I said, had been a hype man at Eminem's shows. He also reunited along with the rest of D12 on the song Bane in 2014 on the Shady XV mixtape. Eminem, though, was not on the track. Similar to Bizarre, he did his own thing in music for a while, but never saw a ton of commercial success. Kaniva and Swifty were the only two people who never left the group. Just like the others, though, they kept doing their own thing musically. They worked a ton together and have both put out a ton of music over the years. Again, though, they never really saw much success. You've probably noticed I'm not really speaking much on all these other D12 members apart from Eminem, and that's because, like I said, none of them really reached anything quite like they did in D12. They've all continued to put out a ton of music, but like Eminem said, nobody blew. Nobody in D12 apart from Eminem blew up, and it's unfortunate that it turned out like that since these guys were so talented. To be fair though, they definitely still have some buzz and some pull to their names, and they're definitely Detroit legends and still have a lot of attention there locally. However, as Eminem did mention in the interview about helping out the D12 guys, and since he did feature Bizarre on his last album, it's definitely possible that we'll get a D12 reunion. And I doubt these guys are struggling too much financially, as they were on some ginormous songs and probably made a ton of money from the D12 days. Also on Eminem's album Kamikaze, he dissed Tyler the Creator, another frontman for his very successful group Odd Future. I wanted to talk about some more modern rap groups, and as I was making this video I realized like, wow, we don't really have too many of those. Other than Odd Future, there's really not too many groups or collectives that have reached the iconic status that groups like NWA, Outkast, De La Soul, Wu-Tang, and many more from back in the day did. But I do think Odd Future is iconic enough to talk about in this video. I think we've had enough time pass, so let's see where they are today. Also, side note, Odd Future was more of a collective than an actual group, like a small group. So there will be some people I have to touch on a little bit more briefly because there were a bunch of people in Odd Future. So Odd Future began in 2007 and was started by our boy Tyler the Creator. Him and some of his friends, including Casey Veggies, Haji, Left Brain, Matt Martian, and Jasper Dolphin, started the group. They started putting out music on things like MySpace and YouTube. In 2008, they released their first mixtape, The Odd Future Tape. After releasing Bastard in 2009, Tyler started getting some buzz. So in turn, his collective got buzz as well, because Tyler repped OF heavily. Shortly after this, artists such as Earl Sweatshirt, Damo Genesis, Mike G, Frank Ocean, and Knockout Smith joined as well. They all worked on their own projects, but they also collaborated a lot, and they had a bunch of subgroups within their own collectives such as Mellow Hype. Odd Future had a very punk and DIY vibe, which is why people like them, especially the kids. I mean, I'd be surprised if you guys haven't heard about how crazy they used to talk. One time they even got denied entry into New Zealand in 2014 because some of their lyrics.
Would Odd Future have made it in 2021? You guys talked so fucking crazy.
No.
You guys would never made it out the gate.
No. But we came at the right time where
The last moment.
You could still be crazy. You could still be a kid and fuck up. You could still have satire. You could still allow people to have a conversation, even if you disagreed. Right now it's crazy.
Many said their shows were reminiscent of punk shows, which made sense as they later signed the punk rock band Trash Talk. Along the way, members such as Sid, Taco, Elboy, and others joined. And by 2010, Odd Future was making waves. They had done some of their first shows and were about to put out their biggest music yet. In 2011, Frank Ocean released Nostalgia Ultra. Tyler the Creator released Goblin, along with signing a one-album deal to XL Recordings, so the group was going up. Especially since Tyler's single Yonkers was so popular, and because he brought all of his friends with him everywhere and repped Odd Future on damn near every song, the group was blowing up. They started their own record label, they started touring, and they even got their own TV show called Loiter Squad, which ran from 2012 to 2014. Then in 2012, they released their debut studio album, The Odd Future Tape Volume 2. This album featured the track Oldie, which had this super iconic music video that really demonstrated how much of a fun, youthful vibe Odd Future had.
Hey, it's Jasper. Now you the rapper. Only on this beat to make my racks grow faster.
But as the group got bigger, everyone seemed to focus more on their solo careers. Frank Ocean released Channel Orange and saw major success. Damo Genesis released No Idols with The Alchemist and saw success. Earl released Doris and saw success. And Tyler released Wolf and saw a bunch of success. Of course, other members released albums, but these were some of the biggest ones from that time period. So everyone started focusing on their solo careers because they were doing so well, which led to them collaborating less often. Then fans began to come up with theories that the group had broken up. In 2015, Tyler the Creator then confirmed it by saying, "Although it's no more, those 7 letters are forever." The 7 letters, by the way, represent OFWGKTA, which stands for Odd Future Wolfgang Kill Them All, in case you guys weren't aware. And then the next day, Earl seemed to back up Tyler by saying, "No sympathy for the male virgins who are in their feelings about Tyler pointing out and solidifying the obvious." One of the main reasons I consider Odd Future iconic is because they were one of the first internet collectives, and a very popular and influential one at that. I mean, they helped popularize Supreme, they inspired a ton of artists, and all of them went on to do amazing things. So let's start off with Tyler. As many of us probably know, after Odd Future split in 2015, Tyler went on a huge run that solidified him as one of the biggest and best artists in the past decade. He first released his pivotal album Flower Boy in 2017, which helped him break out of the edgy box he was put in, and featured the hit song See You Again. 2 years later, he released his album Igor, which won a Grammy, had the hit song Earthquake, and propelled him even further. And 2 years after that, he put out Call Me If You Get Lost, which again won another Grammy. Tyler had really honed his craft over the years and began working with more mainstream artists, hardly working with his old Odd Future pals anymore. But he still does hang out and collaborate with some of his Odd Future buddies. For example, he's still really close with Jasper, and he featured Damo Genesis on his 2021 album. But one person he said he wasn't able to find has been Frank Ocean. At Coachella this year, when playing their collab song She, Tyler said, "Y'all know this song? Oh, sing the song, cause this guy not coming out. We don't know where that guy is, so it's on y'all." So let's see what Frank Ocean's been up to. Following Odd Future split in 2015, Frank Ocean released his album Blonde a year later. This album was a smash hit, debuting at #1. It sold 232,000 copies first week, and it has since been certified platinum. Since then, he released some singles, did some features, and also created Blonded Radio, which was his Apple Music radio station where he played new songs, remixes, and things along those lines. But if you know anything about Frank Ocean, it's that he hasn't released an album in like 8 years. Other than popping out for the occasional show, the remixes and features I mentioned earlier, or doing some random stuff, Frank has been mostly MIA. In late 2019 and early 2020, Frank released some singles, and it seemed as if he was going to release an album. But tragically in 2020, his brother passed away in a car crash, which is what many people think stopped him from releasing the album. Since 2020, he hasn't put any music on streaming services. And apart from his Coachella controversy last year, Frank hasn't really been up to much lately. Regardless, Frank Ocean is still super successful to this day. Without even releasing any music in 4 years, he still has over 35 million monthly listeners on Spotify, and fans are anxiously awaiting his return. One person who has frequently released music since the split of Odd Future is our boy Earl Sweatshirt. After Odd Future split, some fans speculated that Earl and Tyler had beef because Earl didn't perform at the Camp Flog Gnaw Festival, despite other people from Odd Future being there, such as The Internet, Taco, and other OF affiliates. But Tyler tweeted after the festival, "Tebe and I are fine by the way," so fans were probably looking too deep. Earl went on to release his critically acclaimed album Some Rap Songs in 2018, and although he hasn't seen the extremely massive success as some of his other counterparts, he has a very strong fan base and is well respected by critics. Most recently, he's released the album Sick and Voix Dire, or however you say it, in collaboration with The Alchemist. Earl has been killing it and is probably the most well-respected lyricist to come from Odd Future, so if you haven't heard him, make sure to check him out. And while Odd Future was mostly a hip-hop collective, one of their most popular members didn't even make music. Instead, he decided to become an actor. I'm talking about Jasper, if you don't remember the clip I played earlier.
Hey, it's Jasper. Now you the rapper. Only on this beat to make my racks grow faster.
Jasper was referring to his role on Loiter Squad alongside Tyler, L-Boy, and Earl, with cameos from other OF members. He did hop on a few songs with his friends, but it was all just for fun. After the split of Odd Future, Jasper voice acted on Tyler and Lionel's show The Jellies. It seemed like Jasper's focus was more on acting, so he appeared in things like Ridiculousness, The Eric Andre Show, and WWE SmackDown. But likely due to his time on Loiter Squad, which was produced by Dick House Productions, the same company that produces Jackass, Jasper was able to feature in Jackass Forever, which was definitely his biggest gig. Jasper is also still very close with Tyler, so on top of his acting career, he is also involved in Tyler's career.
Well, after the movie came out, I was a world tour, DJ for Tyler or whatever. I'm his DJ, so we did America, Australia, we did like the UK and Europe and all that stuff.
I got a question. When you're touring with Tyler, is it with the whole Odd Future as a collective, or is Odd Future still a thing, or is it just Tyler?
It's just him.
Yeah.
Well, at first it was I was just hype man. Travis Taco was DJ and he would perform, but then Travis started doing more stuff with movies and television and stuff like that. So then I started becoming the DJ. So now it's just me and him on tour, plus all the production and all that stuff. But yeah.
And I'm not trying to make a super long video since Odd Future was a very big group, so I'm gonna breeze through what the rest of the group is up to today. After the split of Odd Future, Damo Genesis released some projects like Genesis, which also performed fairly well, along with some mixtapes. He also re-released some mixtapes on streaming services recently, including No Idols with The Alchemist, which is fire, and you guys should check that out. He was also featured, like I said, on Tyler the Creator's song Manifesto in 2021, and it seems like he's doing well. Taco, aka Travis Bennett, seems to be doing very well as an actor, especially because of his role in the show Dave by Lil Dicky. He's also had some roles in a few movies and TV shows, and I think he's directed music videos too. Sid, aka Sid the Kid, was a primary member of The Internet, a subgroup of Odd Future which also featured Matt Martian. The Internet has released popular albums such as Ego Death and Hive Mind, and they also helped Steve Lacy get his start in music, which is a little fun fact for you guys. Sid also featured on Lil Uzi's Eternal Take and Zayn's Nobody's Listening. On top of that, she produced on Beyonce's album Renaissance, so Sid seems to be doing well in the music industry. Lionel began acting and recently has starred in The Bear as one of the main characters, Marcus Brooks. I've never wanted to watch this show, but it's all over my TikTok page, so I probably have seen him in the show before. He also starred in an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. However, some members have struggled a little bit more than the others. For example, Casey Veggies had some issues with his label Epic Records, so since then he has gone independent and hasn't seen nearly as much commercial success, which is understandable for an independent artist. There are also a few artists like Brandon Deshay or Ritra who had to leave Odd Future for various reasons, so they're often forgotten, which hasn't been super helpful for their careers, despite them having talent. And despite a brief beef with Tyler during the OF split, Haji Beats patched things up with his pal and released his debut studio album in 2016. Then he took a hiatus and returned under the alias Jerry, under which he started releasing music again, but like I said, hasn't seen a ton of commercial success. Like I said, Matt Martian saw most of his success with the Internet and hasn't seen as much in his solo career. Left Brain also continued producing for his friends and releasing his own music, but a lot of these guys struggled to see as much success as their Odd Future counterparts, which, to be fair, isn't a great comparison because not most people are reaching Frank Ocean, Tyler the Creator levels. And it seems like a lot of the Odd Future guys are still friends today. In 2023, they reunited a couple of times. First at Camp Flognaw, which featured Earl, Left Brain, Sid, Mike G, and probably others that I missed. Then that same year, a bunch of Odd Future members got together Earl Sweatshirt's Doris anniversary show. So it's cool that everyone from Odd Future seems to be doing well for the most part, and I'm sure we can expect more crossover in years to come. Obviously, like I said, there are plenty of more other successful iconic hip-hop groups that have come and went since am I stupid? Obviously, like I said, there are plenty of other iconic hip-hop groups, so if you're wondering what they're up to these days, instead of googling it, just comment down below and I can make a part 2. I've never set a like goal for a video and I'm scared to, but just like the video and maybe if I notice more likes, I'll know that you guys want to see it. But yeah, other than that, thank you guys for watching. If you liked, please make sure to leave a like. If you really like, make sure to subscribe down below. Other than that, it's been Matty Balls, and I'll see you guys next time.